Good evening. This is Lecture 4 in this series, and we have now come to experiences. Now, last time I talked about an experience that I had at a cemetery where my grandparents were buried, but that's not what I'm going to talk about today. It was an early Saturday morning some years ago. I'd gotten up and I was going to go to the mountain. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was not unusual for me to do that every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. I would go early so I wouldn't be interrupting family business, family day, what happens during the family outings. So I got up early. I drove to the mountain. I got out of my truck. I walked up the small hill towards a great rock to watch the sun as it begins to assert its power over the landscape. I climbed up onto a rock where I normally sit to meditate. I could be there for hours or minutes. It depends on what's required and what I feel and all the rest. Anyway, this particular morning, I was enjoying the scenery when my spirit guide, who I'll call Charon, and I'll explain that at another lecture where the name comes from. It's not the boatman who takes the dead across the river Styx. It's not that Charon, but I will explain to you later what that is, who he is, what it is. So anyway, Charon came to me and said, get a hold of yourself. I'm going to take you to a place that you must see, you must know about, and you must understand if we are to proceed on this journey. Well, I got a little scared, I must tell you. I mean, I'm human, and I thought, well, all right, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm going to die today. Maybe this is what I have to do in order to follow my bliss, Joseph Campbell would say. But I got up. Spiritually speaking, I got up. Remember, I'm sitting in a lotus on a rock. I leave my body and I walk on the road with Charon towards whatever destination that he has planned. It seemed like hours passed and we didn't seem to be getting anywhere. It was odd. And I normally don't question spirit guides about what they're going to be doing or why we're doing it, but just as I began to speak, he said, shh, quiet, quiet. Like he knew I was going to ask a question, because I'm always asking questions, because I always want answers. And sometimes there aren't answers to certain questions. So I shut up. I didn't ask the question. We kept going. Then it got very dark, black even, like space. There were stars. There was the feeling of vastness. I felt weak, scared. Charon said to me, have no fear, little one. I am here to protect you. Follow me. What was I supposed to do? I didn't know how to get back, so I thought, I better follow him, or it. So I followed him, and the atmosphere got thick like glue. I was stuck in it. I couldn't transverse it. I couldn't get through it. I couldn't penetrate the power that this place had. I mean, it was black and I couldn't see anything, but except these stars that were everywhere. And then all of a sudden, that was gone. And we were standing on the edge of the universe, overlooking, I had no idea. I'd never seen this before. I didn't know what it was. But my fear was temporarily assuaged. I didn't feel any more fear. He said, "Look, do you see it?" And there was a kind of river of wind that was blowing from one side to the other. It seemed pretty vast across, but it was blowing and it looked like a river, except it was wind. It had substance, but it wasn't water. And it was blowing and moving very rapidly. And he said, "This cannot be crossed by you. Never attempt to get in or around or through this barrier without me. Because if you do, you will be swept away. You will no longer exist." It's more than death. It's a kind of spiritual death. And I thought, wow. Then I really got frightened, and he said, "Stop using your mind. Stop being afraid and just take it in. Quietly, gently, no effort. And then listen quietly to the energy that it is producing." So I tried that, and I couldn't hear anything. It just sounded like the noise of wind blowing extremely strong, and I couldn't, I didn't understand what he wanted me to do. He said, "Stop. Try again. Listen again. Focus your attention. You can't waste precious time. We have only a few more seconds here, and we have to be gone. Now focus your attention." So I did. I gave it everything I had. I cleared my mind. No thought. I cleared every part of me that I could, so I could experience what he wanted me to experience. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden, I felt myself pulled right into the river, just yanked into the river like that. And I was destroyed. There were no atoms left that I know of. I mean, I was completely gone. And then a moment later, I was on the rock, meditating. And I woke up, and 8 hours had passed. 8 hours I'd been out. I didn't know if I'd learned anything, if there was anything for me to know. But I know that I had faced oblivion and made it through. And after that, I had no fear of the unknown anymore. I was willing to go pretty much wherever Charon wanted me to go, even to that river of wind that he said that nobody could ever come back from. Now, how did I come back? I'll tell you how. I didn't. I slipped from one dimension to another, reformed on the mountain, and I've never been the same since. I am now living in another parallel dimension. That other dimension is gone. It's finished. That person is gone. And I am the one who remains. So good night. Blessings. Peace be on you. Have no fear.